joining us today. My name is Josh Antis. I'm from California Coast Credit Union, and excited to talk to you today about the 360 degrees of auto buying, also called auto buying in today's crazy market. We'll dive into the content momentarily, but before we begin, just want to mention a few things. One, everyone will be placed on mute during today's presentation. So if you have any questions, we do want to answer those for you. We'll answer those as we go or at the end of today's presentation. So please include your questions in the question and answer box or in the chat, and we will make sure to get to those for you. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. Also, at the end of today's presentation, there's going to be a survey available for you to fill out, and everyone who does fill out the survey will be entered into a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. We will be giving out 2 of them, so be sure to fill out the survey either at the end of the session, or you will receive an email the next day or so that will give you the opportunity to fill out the survey as well. So please do that. We appreciate your feedback, and we'll enter you into the drawing and pick a couple winners. And then I also want to mention that today's session is being recorded and will be put on the dedicated YouTube channel that we have for you as City of San Diego employees. It lives on the landing page that we have for you. I'll put the link in the chat. If you haven't been to the landing page that we have set up for all of you, please visit it at your earliest convenience. It is a great resource. It has a lot of great tools and resources there for you that are financial wellness resources, the products and services that we offer, the specials that we offer to you as city employees. It's all on there. So check it out. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help. Okay, so today we have Kevin Watkins. He's the principal owner of New Cars Inc. They have been a partner of CalCoast for 33 years, something like that. So I know him in the ballpark, 30 plus years. And Kevin is a great guy. He actually helped me to find my truck about, a year and a half ago now, I think it was, almost 2 years ago, maybe, right before everything got crazy, thank goodness. But he's got a lot to tell us about today. He's going to talk about the process of auto buying, but also dive into what it looks like today. Because like I said, it's been pretty crazy out there trying to find a car, right? So I'm curious to see what Kevin has to say. I'm going to turn it over to him, and we'll kick things off.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Crazy times for sure. I don't know where to begin in this world, but anyway, we're going to dive into car buying because it's fun if you like cars. My name's Kevin Watkins. I'm principal owner of New Cars Incorporated with my wife. We started the company in March of 1986. Local guy, live in El Cajon, went to Granite Hills, went to San Diego State. I have 2 daughters that are both raised and went to local colleges also. I was just raised in a automobile industry. My father was a Ford dealer back in Illinois, in Peoria. After he retired, I just fell in love with cars. And as I grew up, I always wanted to have the ability to drive different cars. And so I found out that, if you do something you love, you never really have to go to work. So I don't work. I just get to play with cars. So it's kind of fun. We've had a long time relationship with CalCoast Credit Union. This is about our, I can't do the math, 35th or 6th year in business. And we've been with CalCoast for over 30 years. We've helped over 80,000 credit union members buy all makes and models of used cars. And I'm going to run you through quite a quick program, and then we'll get into the Q&A, my favorite part. So let me run into the program. It's called 360 of Auto Buying. What you're going to learn today is basically how to be prepared. So car buying is a fun experience if you know what you're doing. So do your homework. Don't let it be done based on emotions. Do your homework, do the math, figure out what you like, what you can afford, understand the finance process. And at the end, I'll spend a little bit of time on how our actual program for the credit union and for you as a member works to save you time, hassle, and money in the process of buying cars. I think Josh is going to be keeping an eye on the Q&A. So if you have questions, type them in, and we can stop at any point in time and go through those quick Q&A. What can you afford? How much money can you afford to acquire a new vehicle? There's several calculators out there to determine debt to income, different ratios that you can look at. Every credit union is different, and CalCoast is no different. They all look at a program based on your net income after taxes minus expenses equals disposable income. You can go on CalCoast website and do some calculating right there, figure out what your monthly payment needs to be with a down payment, if you have a trade-in, sales tax, interest rate. By the way, quick side note with interest rate, if you use New Cars Inc. to help you acquire a newer pre-owned vehicle going through the CalCoast Credit Union, you get up to a 0.50% discount on the interest rate for using the auto buying service. Just a little side plug for us. So let the research begin. Let's get started and kind of dive through the process, what you should do, what you should be looking at. I always suggest people, when you're driving around, look at cars while you're driving and, kind of make a mental list of what you like. If you're looking at Hyundai Elantras, do you like Nissan Altimas? Do you like, Kias? Do you like Ford Focuses? There's a lot of different cars out there. We'll get into supply and demand in a little bit, but first of all, make a list of what you're looking for, and then do some research on those cars. Hop on, do some Google searches on those cars, find out what's important, miles per gallon, safety features, other options. There's some really great cars out there, and there's some cars out there that have some problems. As an example, if you're looking at to buy a 5 or 6 year old pre-owned sedan for your son or your daughter, stay away from Nissan Sentras. They have what's called a CVT transmission, and they're just known for problems. They just break all the time. It's a bad design up into 06. Once you get to 06 through 09 are the good ones. And then they go bad again. So anyway, you should do some research out there to pick out the type of vehicle you're looking for, and then do some research to find out if there's any known problems on the car. There's blogs on all kinds of cars out there to help you figure out the year, make, model of car that works well and has good resale value and has minimal repairs out there. So do your side-by-side comparisons. Know what's reasonable in relation to the vehicle value. There's a lot of different sites out there that will help you with pricing points on cars. KBB.com is very good. Kelley Blue Book. TrueCar, another partner of CalCoast Credit Union, helps you do a lot of research on values of vehicles. So I think that's a great product. Test driving the car, doing the background reports. We use three different reports that we use in looking up history of vehicles. We look at Carfax, we look at AutoCheck, and we look at Inventus. So we look at 3 different reports to see if we can find any different types of problems or backgrounds on cars to help us know if we're finding a car that really makes sense to offer to you. And if you find a car on your own and you want to know the value or the background on a car, you can't find it, you can always email me at kevin@newcarsinc.com, and I'm more than happy to help do a little research for you. Reference websites to look at. newcarsinc.com, of course, we like our website. CalCoast has their program through TrueCar, which can help you pricing out a car. Then there's all kinds of green vehicle websites out there. And as I said before, KelleyBlueBook.com is a great source for looking at price points on cars. Other items to consider. You have a down payment. How much money have you saved up to put down on your vehicle? Does it make sense to sell your current vehicle yourself or trade it in? Pre-owned vehicles today are a premium. Used vehicle pricing in the last 24 months has gone up 40%. So we're seeing a lot of folks out there that have bought a new vehicle 2 years ago. And in many instances, that vehicle is worth what they paid for it or even more, depending on the miles and the buy-sell ratio on that particular car, market day supply. So there's a lot of people that are looking right now at possibly trading in their car. Of course, the challenge is finding the next car. It's kind of like in real estate. You have a home, you've owned it for several years, you have a great equity position in it, you're thinking of selling the house because it's a great time. The problem is finding the next house. Same thing in the automobile business currently. We'll get into that in a little bit. Also, something else to consider is the registration fees. Some of us are extremely amazed at what California is charging for license fees anymore, but they're still charging astronomical numbers. And so to be prepared so you don't have sticker shock when you find out your license fees are $800 a year, go to this website, DMV Fee Calculator, and they'll give you an idea of what you're going to pay for license fees. Also, check with your auto insurance on a vehicle. Many times that, if you're looking at a vehicle and it's a four-wheel drive vehicle, there's a pretty big hit on the auto insurance for having a four-wheel drive. Many times it makes more sense to find a two-wheel drive vehicle if you're not going off-road or going to the snow and you don't need it. Many times you'll save on gas, wear and tear, and cost of auto insurance. So get some quotes beforehand. This is all things to consider in our view before you go out to buy a car. Because when you get out there and you're looking at a car, we all get emotional and go, wow, I really like this car. And your heart starts pounding and you go, boy, I look good in this car. And I think this would be a fun car. And I really like the aerodynamics of the car. And I want to buy this car. Well, before you do that, and you let yourself go from your head to your heart and you buy emotionally, do your background, do your research, do your math, so you know before you get there and get put under the ether of getting excited about the new car. So you have your background homework already done, so that you're not waking up the next day going, boy, I'm remorseful that I went out and did that. I spent too much money. I'm paying $700 a month in a car payment that I didn't have yesterday, and now I'm stuck in this car. So those are the things that we suggest that you do ahead of time, just to go through the mathematics of it and just be prepared. Warranty. Understand what's covered in the warranty. Prices for each vary. Get a quote if you're looking at buying extended warranty. CalCoast has a great program called MRC, which is an extended warranty program with special pricing. If you're buying a pre-owned vehicle, if you're buying a new vehicle, whether you buy it from us or any other dealer, you're going to get a full manufacturer's warranty on the car. Primarily, they're 5 years, 60,000 miles. So that covers warranties. Loan protection products. CalCoast also has a full menu of products, which is called their Coast Guard Plus program. And these products will help you in case of something happens to you and you have a loan with them. If in case of loss of life, disability, involuntary employment, family leave, and then the guaranteed asset protection is the product that if you have a vehicle that's totaled or stolen and non-recovered, and there's a gap between what the insurance company says your vehicle is worth and what you owe on the vehicle, then this insurance product is covered to cover that difference between the payoff and what the insurance company will pay you for the car. So these are all good deals at the right price. Many times you'll find that dealers are offering these same products, but their price differential is phenomenally huge. As an example, through CalCoast, most GAP products are $200 to $300. At a dealer, it's typically $700 to $900. So at the credit union member price, it's a good deal. It's a good thing to have to protect yourself. At the dealership price, you get to a point where the value versus price gets out of whack, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense to acquire it from the dealer. Instead, go to your credit union, get your loan there. Okay, finish your homework. Determine how much car you can afford. So you've jumped on the computers, you've done some math, you've gotten an idea of what your disposable income is, which is how much money you have left after you pay everything. You've researched your vehicles, you've went out and driven some vehicles, you figured out what your tax and license insurance is, you're ready to take the next step with some degree of confidence. What's the financing? Financing. So I'm going to talk real quickly about the 3 C's that CalCoast looks at in underwriting a auto loan for you. You can get an auto loan from the credit union from walking into a branch and applying. They're now taking back members into the branch. For a long time during COVID, they were not allowing you to come into the branch to do this, but now they're back doing that. So you can go into the branch and do it. You can call the info center. You can go online 7/24 and fill out an application. And when an underwriter gets that and looks at that, they're going to look at the 3 C's. So I'm going to buzz through this pretty quickly. Capacity is how much can you afford? Can the borrower afford the debt? What is the debt to income? What is the payment to income, disposable income? What are those ratios? The credit union has specific ratios that they're looking for to allow you to be approved for an auto loan. Is the debt on the credit report deemed yours, even if you're a co-signer? That's capacity, so that you have the ability to afford the next car. Character is what's the likelihood of you making these payments based on your history, stability in employment, residence, and credit history. That gets into, how long you've been on your job, how long you've been in your home, what's your credit history, what's your credit score. I'm 62 years old and I still check my credit score all the time through one of the online apps that my daughter set up for me so I can see what my score is to make sure my wife's not killing me. No, teasing. Been married a long time, so she's a wonderful wife. Collateral. Let's talk about collateral. What's the relationship between the loan amount requested and the value of the collateral? Is there equity? This is getting challenging today because there's such a huge increase in the amount of the value of the collateral versus the loan. So we're seeing that many times the credit union is asking for money down on a vehicle. Same thing in the home housing market. They're asking for 20% down. Many times the credit union is asking for credit or dollars down based on the that ratio between the amount that you want to finance and the collateral in the car. So just be prepared for that. They may ask you for $2,000 or $3,000 down in your approval. What is the collateral's model year in relation to the loan term requested? This gets into buying an older vehicle. Typically, CalCoast is looking to finance 100% on a 15 or 16 or newer vehicle. Looking at an older vehicle, they'll cut you back in the term that they'll do on the loan. So if you're looking at a 2012 Honda Accord with 80,000 miles on it, they'll do the loan, but they'll probably pare it back to 36 to 48 months versus going 72 to 84 on a newer car. So keep that in mind, that they're looking at that in the underwriting process. Make sure you're buying the auto for you and not for someone else. Straw purchase is what that is called, and the credit union is not keen on approving loans for that. If you're doing a loan for a family member and it's a son or daughter, disclose that right up front that you're co-signing for an auto loan for one of your siblings. Talk about refinance. The credit union does do refinances. If you have a vehicle that you've either financed somewhere else or you've leased and now you want to refinance it and have the credit union take the loan, CalCoast take the loan, they're going to need a payoff. They're going to need the transfer fee of $15, and they can help you without both of those. But they will, you will need to go online and get the payoff with whoever you have the current loan with, if it's Toyota Motor Credit or Honda Finance or whoever it's with. They also do private purchases. So if you're looking at buying a vehicle from a private party, you can go into the branch with the person that's selling the car, make sure they have the title with them, and they will book out the car and approve you for a loan so they can walk you through that process. On the purchase price, make sure you realize that the sales tax is between 9.5% and 10%, depending on what part of town that you live in. So you're going to be including tax and license in the transaction. If you have a trade-in or a down payment, positive or negative. Many times today we're seeing that the folks that are coming in have a lot of equity in cars because the used vehicle prices have gone up so much. So most of the time that's not a problem. If you have negative equity, the credit union again may ask for dollars down to help you finance the car. Lease buyout, I'm going to gloss over this pretty quickly because it's very simple. If you have a lease and you're at the end of the term and you want to finance it, you can get a payoff from the leasing company. And then at that point in time, the credit union will work with you to pay for the taxes on the car. You have to pay tax on a car when you buy it out from a leasing company. Get pre-approved. I think this helps you dramatically when you're going in to negotiate and buy a vehicle. If you're not pre-approved with the credit union, if you're not getting normal pre-approvals and from the credit union, you can sign up for those. But you call in, go online, get pre-approved. It's very valuable so that when you walk into the dealership, you're not going, well, I wonder if I can qualify for this. You know going in that you're pre-approved for $15,000, $40,000, whatever amount you're pre-approved for, to help you just be in a better position to negotiate a better price on the car that you're looking at. Josh, let me know if we have any questions. What to expect at a dealership. Again, do your research before you go, because there's so many times that people get emotionally involved and charged in buying a car. You want to make sure that you've done your homework so you know what you can afford. Car buying is a two-part process. I think most folks know this, but just to go over it, the selection and pricing process, that gets you to the test drive, looking at the car, talking to the salesperson, kind of figuring out what your price of the car is going to be, kind of giving you a ballpark of the monthly payment, asking you about your trade-in, asking you about your down payment. That's a process called the Foursquare process. So once they get that done, they're going to say, congratulations, shake your hand, you just bought a car. Then they're going to take you into the finance department, which is is where you can pay for the car, get financing on the car. Typically you want to get what's called an option contract. If you're going to go back to the credit union to do the financing, the dealership is going to want to try and get you to let them finance the car. Most of the time you're going to get a better deal going back to the credit union. Credit unions are tax exempt and nonprofit. Car dealerships are for profit. Typically car dealerships range between 4 to 8% on a new car. Your credit union can be as low as 1.5% to 2%, depending on the term. And if you use our services to get the additional 0.5% off the auto loan rate. So if you're going to go to a dealer and buy a car, get an option contract so you can go back to the credit union to get financing on the car. Things to avoid. Remember, lower payments equal longer term, more interest paid. So many times we're seeing folks come in and say, you know, I have champagne taste and a beer budget, and I don't want to pay more than $300 a month for this BMW. Great, we can go 96 months, or we can do a 48-month lease to help get close to your payment, and you're still going to need $3,000 to $4,000 out of pocket to get to that payment. So many folks are lured into saying, you know, I really want lower payments on my car, and then they end up paying it over a longer term, and then they get stuck in the car because in 3 or 4 years, things change in their life. They get married, they have kids or whatever, and they want a bigger car or something different, and they're stuck in the vehicle because they finance for such a long time. They have such a high payoff on the car. So I always suggest you to think long and hard before you go more than like a 66-month term on an auto loan. I think that's long enough to finance a car. If you're going longer than that, you might want to wait and save up a little bit of money to put down so you can afford that shorter term on the car. Because bottom line is, it's probably not your last car purchase. You're probably going to want another car in a few years. So be in a better position by financing for a shorter term. Deferred down payment. Do not post date a check for a dealer. Many times a dealer will say, well, if you put $3,000 down, we can get you a payment of $300 a month. Well, I don't have the $3,000 down. Well, when would you? On 45 days. Okay, write me a check for 45 days from now. Do not do that. That's a deferred down payment. Do not do a post dated check. And if the lender finds out that you did that, they will call the car back. So don't get stuck in that position. Be aware of leasing options. Leasing works great in the right situations. A lot of people lease cars, especially if you own a company or have a way to have your company make the payment for you on a car. You're using pre-tax dollars to pay for the car. Many times that makes sense. If you're just a normal consumer and you're working for the city and you want to buy a car, I would suggest you finance the car for a 66-month term, own it at the end, and be happy with your car and keep it for a while before you decide to get your next car. Let's see. Do we have a question? There is a question from Kevin. I've heard that there's chip shortages right now causing prices to skyrocket. Do you have any estimation on the chip shortage? Let me get into that in just a little bit because that's a great question and it's a big problem out there right now. But let me get into that in just a minute. So remember, deferred down payment, don't do that. Be aware of leasing options. Sometimes leases are good, sometimes they're not. Do your homework. Consider the cost of dealer products. Right now, we're seeing VIN etching, low jack alarms, paint and fabric protection, gap service contracts. We're seeing that a lot of dealers out there, because, Kevin, the thing you brought up, the chip shortage, they're mandating that you buy these products. I think that's an ethical question for car dealers to mandate that you buy anything other than the car. But many of the dealers I'm talking with are telling me that they're telling folks that, you know, if you don't buy the products that we offer in finance, then you're not buying a car here because we don't have enough cars to fill all the needs that we have. So either you buy the aftermarket products or you don't buy the car. I think there's some ethical questions there, but I won't get into that. So if you're out there shopping, just be aware there are some websites out there and some dealers, new car dealers that are pricing cars at MSRP, and you think you're going to go in and buy the car at MSRP, and then you find out they have a $5,000 addendum because you have to buy their third brake light or their paint and fabric sealant or their alarm system, and it's packaged into the car, and they tell you it's already included. So you're paying $5,000 more than you thought you were going to pay when you found their car on the website. So be careful. No option sales contract. You may request a one-pay contract if the dealer allows. No option means the dealer is going to finance the car. If you do a one-pay contract, then you can go back to the credit union and do your homework there and get your financing there. New Cars Inc. is our company, 1 Elkhorn Boulevard. We've been in business since 1986. Our goal is very simple: to save you time, hassle, and money in the process of getting a car. Again, that's just our logo and our company. I think we're going to get into questions. And I think Josh said we had 30 minutes plus Q&A. So Josh, we have one question from Kevin to start with. I'll dive into that one, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about supply and demand and economics right now and what we're seeing out there in the vehicle world. 2 years ago when the pandemic started, everybody was up in the arms of what was going to happen. And what happened was the manufacturers actually stopped ordering chips because they did not know the viability of moving forward with needing all of these products from the vendors to build cars. So they started backing off on ordering seats and trim and tires and all kinds of things. And most of the things that once demand came back after a year and a half were available. What happened was the chip producers all of a sudden decided that they didn't want to wait around for the automobile industry. So they got involved in building more chips for telephones, for cell phones, for laptops, for computers. And now the automobile manufacturers are left behind because they don't have enough supply to build the chips that they need to run the cars. Many cars out there have 4, 6, 8 computers in them. So they need these chips to be able to make the car run. So they're having a difficult time now getting the product that they need to produce the cars. So that started getting better in about October or November. We started seeing more vehicles coming into play. Now it's going back the other way. It's getting more challenging. So what happens is that the new cars are out there, but they're not in near supply as they were. If you drive by a Toyota dealership or a Honda dealership, typically there used to be 200, 300, 400 cars sitting there. You could go in and pick out any color you wanted of Honda Accord or Toyota Camry or Toyota Tacoma, and they had 8 or 10 of them for you to pick from. Now they don't. The problem is that you cannot factory order a Toyota, Honda, Nissan product. Those are based on allocation, and they're just wait for the cars to show up, and then the dealers are selling the cars. So they're getting away from having a supply inventory of cars sitting. They're now doing orders on cars that cars are not even there yet. So when you go to a Toyota dealer, if you want to buy a Tacoma, you'll sit down with the salesperson, you'll pick out the options and color you want, and then you'll give them a deposit, and they'll call you in 4 to 6 weeks when they get something in that's close to what you're looking for. Probability of the exact thing coming in is not very high because cars are in such short supply right now. The problem is that has a trickle-down effect. So the problem really now is that we're seeing that the daily rental car companies, the Hertz, Avis, enterprise rental car companies are not getting the new car allocation that they want. So last week, for an example, Enterprise had their allocation of new cars for 2023 cut by 70%, which means that 7 out of 10 cars they've ordered to have new cars to rent to people are not coming. So now what they're doing is they're going to the auctions and buying pre-owned vehicles and driving up the market price of pre-owned cars. This morning, I was online looking at a vehicle for a Cal Coast member. I was telling Josh this earlier, that the member was looking for a $15,000 car for their son, and we were looking at a Hyundai Elantra. Well, Hyundai Elantra was several years old with 40,000 miles on it. I was pretty confident we could get the car for $15,000 out the door for the member, including tax and license. Enterprise bought the car and paid like $13,700, $13,800 for the car, which is crazy amount of money to buy that car as a rental car company. But what they're doing now is they're renting out cars that are older because they can't get new cars. So that's the trickle down effect into the used car market. It's just causing used cars to be in shorter supply and higher price. The good side is that if you're interested in acquiring a Ford, Dodge, Chevrolet product, the American products, those vehicles we can still factory order and they're coming in. They're taking a long time to come in. My wife was happy with me a few weeks ago because her Ford Bronco that I ordered a year ago finally came in. So my wife now has her new Ford Bronco and she's happy camper. So, the 4 words I live by: happy wife, happy life. So my wife has her new car, but it's taking a while to acquire those vehicles. On the import side, many times vehicles are just not available. We had a credit union member the other day that was looking for a Hyundai Tucson. We've been looking for about 90 days for either the plug-in hybrid or the regular hybrid. Nothing's available. Nothing's coming in. Finally, this week, we found them a silver Hyundai Tucson Limited, but not a hybrid. And I called and said, it's something. It's a Hyundai Tucson. It's a limited, but it's not a hybrid. And the customer said, the CalCoast member said, I'll take the car. We're delivering the car tomorrow. So we're finding that it's difficult to find cars. Dealers are charging a pretty hefty premium for cars still. So it's not the ability of saving you a ton of money on the price of a car right now. It's just being able to acquire the car for you at this point in time. So we shop all over California to find cars. We do our very best to get the very best price we possibly can. But when there's no cars available and the dealers have no inventory to sell, it's just simple supply and demand economics, and the prices of items keep going up. So we're all living in this. Hopefully it'll get better. I think probably in the next 24 months, it'll start to ease off. That's, of course, predicated on the world going smoothly and everything moving forward in a positive manner. So we're all hopeful of all those things. My fingers are crossed. Been doing this for 35 years, and we love the relationship with CalCoast. We love helping members get a better buy on a car. This is unprecedented times that we're living in. My friends always ask me, how's the car business? And the only thing I can say is it's ludicrous. That's the only, I guess it's an adjective. The only thing I know how to describe what's going on right now. It's something we've never seen before, but we're doing our very best to help members acquire vehicles in a reasonable manner and at a reasonable price. Any more questions, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for kind of breaking that down for us, Kevin. I know that's probably one of the things that a lot of people are most, interested in. This question was, do you think the car prices will go down later this year or next year? I think you kind of answered that. You said 24 months is probably the outlook right now. Does it make sense? Someone was asking, does it make sense if there's a car you want and it's not available, should you just lease another car in the meantime and wait till that car is available and then stop the lease and buy the other car? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to a degree. I mean, my customer that is on the Tucson that we just spoke about, she's getting a silver Tucson Limited, and she really wanted a plug-in, and she said, I'm just going to lease this car for a few years, and then maybe the car that I really want will be readily available at that point in time. So, people need a car, they need a car. So we completely understand that. We typically inventory 70 to 80 pre-owned vehicles. At this point in time, we have 10 to 15. But we have really, really nice cars in inventory. So, we're just telling people, we're doing our very best to try and find product for you, to find the vehicles that you're looking for. But when they're not out there, we're going to be the first one to say they're not out there. You can go look, but it's ludicrous to pay $15,000 to $20,000 over MSRP to buy an automobile. Cars are depreciating assets. They don't appreciate. It's not like buying a house and saying, geez, I paid $600 a foot for a house, and that seems crazy today, but in 5 years from now, they may be $1,000 a foot. So houses appreciate, cars normally don't, but we're in a different market right now. So, I think that buying a vehicle is based on needs analysis. Do you need a car? Do you need a brand new car? Do you want to lease a car? Can a used car work for you? So it's something that we help members through, because we're not loyal to just selling you a brand new Honda or a brand new Toyota. We're a broker, and as the credit union's auto buying service, my team's job is to help do a needs assessment with your members to figure out what are they looking for, what is available, what will you give or take on, what's your budget, and then we come back with, here's what's out there, and let you, the member, make the decision. It's not our job to make the decision for you. It's our job to present what we can put our hands on to help you with your next vehicle.
Right. Here's a good question. Do you recommend paying a deposit? The dealer asked me to pay a deposit and they will call me when the car comes in.
Well, if you don't pay a deposit, the next person that does pay the deposit is going to take your spot in line. We don't ask for any deposits. We have lists just like the dealers do, and we're going out to the large fleet suppliers in San Diego and Los Angeles and trying to acquire vehicles. So we don't ask for a deposit. I'm hearing that many dealers are requiring a deposit. Legally in California, if you take a deposit, it has to be put in an escrow account. And I'm hearing that a lot of dealers are not putting money into escrow accounts. They're just putting it into their bank account or holding the check or holding the credit card charge. But, really just depends on who you're working with and what their program is. So, if you feel comfortable with the dealer, give them a deposit. We're also seeing that many times dealers are, telling you one price, and then when the car comes in, it's a different price. And they're saying, well, it's based on supply and demand. At the time we thought we could get you the car, we thought we could sell you the car for MSRP plus $1,000. And then when the car gets there, they're saying, well, unfortunately, we can't sell you the car for $1,000 over MSRP. Now it's $3,500 over MSRP because we're not getting any more. I don't think that's ethical. I don't think that's proper. I think that's going to continue to erode the consumer's idea of the ethics of car dealers over time, which sometimes is questionable anyway. But, I don't think some of the dealers are helping themselves. But there's a lot of dealers out there that are doing the proper thing and limiting the markup on cars and still helping people get cars. And, they're family-owned businesses, and I think they're doing a good job. But you got to go hunt and find them.
Right. Well, it looks like Roma's interested in a Ford Bronco or a Toyota 4Runner. So if you can find any, I think she's interested. But there's some questions about hybrid SUVs or just hybrids or electric cars in general. When you're talking used, is there certain ones to kind of look for versus certain ones to avoid that you've seen?
I like hybrid vehicles. It only makes sense to buy a hybrid vehicle if you do a lot of city driving. If you're driving and you're commuting primarily on the freeway, 90% of the time, then the vehicle is running on a gas engine. It's only running on the hybrid battery part when you're on local city streets. So paying $5,000 to $7,000 additional for a hybrid vehicle in many instances doesn't make any sense, because it's going to take you 8 or 10 years of driving that vehicle to get back that $5,000. So I like being green. I like, driving a Prius once in a while. But I'm too old, I guess, is my problem. I'm old school, and I like driving a gasoline car that gets good miles per gallon. And I like hybrids, but there's just, I think they're overrated. But I still understand all of us wanting to be green and doing our part to save the planet and to help do our part. But there's so many out there that are challenging to get. Tesla's is a fabulous car. I love Teslas, but the price point on those cars is astronomical for a full electric car. You can spend half that on a Prius and get really good gas mileage and have a much lower car payment. So it all just depends. I mean, we can help you get any make or model of car that you're looking for, other than a brand new Tesla, because you have to go to a Tesla store to buy the car and order it. But we're more than happy to help go search for any type of car you're looking for. Sometimes I just don't think that mathematically it makes sense to pay the extra money to buy the hybrid car when a gasoline car gets 24 miles a gallon and the hybrid gets 29. It's hard to pencil the extra cost.
Would you also see that in regards to like a 4Runner? Like if it's I guess, is there a hybrid 4Runner or an electric 4Runner? I'm not sure.
I don't think there is. I think 4Runners are just, in my opinion, one of the best SUVs in the world.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
4Runners. Some of their Pro Packs, I think, are very, very expensive for the additional items that you get. But an SR5 4Runner, an SR5 4Runner and a Toyota Tacoma are a couple of vehicles that are actually worth as much or more in the first 33 years of ownership as what you paid for it new. They just don't depreciate. Every other car that you buy new in a normal market, not this market, this is an anomaly, but in a normal market, every other car you buy depreciates. Cars are depreciating assets. But there are those few cars like Tacomas that are actually worth as much or more, and 4Runners in 2 or 3 years. So that's why people come in all the time and say, geez, I'm looking for a used 4Runner. And I go, I can get you a new one for the same price as you're going to pay for a used one. You know, the used ones are just, they just hold their value so well.
Absolutely. All right, well, Roma's chiming in again in the chat. She wants a new 4Runner, so let her know.
Call me, email me, Kevin@newcarsinc.com. I'll be happy to help. Go see what we can find for you.
And then what's your take on Teslas?
Love Teslas. I think they're great vehicles. We go down to, you can go down to Fashion Valley. You can eat lunch at the Tommy Bahama store. You can walk next door to Tesla and take a brand new Tesla out for a 30-minute drive, hop on the freeway, set it at 70 mile an hour, take your hands off the steering wheel and watch the car drive for you. I think it's phenomenal. I love going down and test driving them. I think they're great cars. I was in Los Angeles over the weekend to visit with our 2 daughters, and there was more Teslas up there than Mercedes-Benz. And that's rare in LA. And I think Elon Musk has got it, you know, so far in advance for the technology of the car. I think it's a fabulous car. I think the model they have now on their leases is a little bit unique. If you go in and lease a new Tesla, and 70% of Tesla's brand new or leased cars, you do not have the option to buy the car at the end of the term. So you lease the car for 2 or 3 years, Tesla wants the car back, and they want you to lease another car. They don't want to give you the option to buy the car. Elon Musk has figured it out that, you know, if we don't allow you to buy the car at the end of the term, you're going to want to lease another car. If you get to buy the car, you're not buying another car. You're not helping his sales wheel. So that's kind of different from my viewpoint, because I like to eventually own a car and not have payments on it. But Tesla's model is they want you to keep paying them every month for a car. But product wise, nothing better. I think it's a great product.
Right. So I think that gets us through all the questions we have right now. If we do have any other questions, please go ahead and ask. But I'll give everyone a second for that. But in the meantime, Kevin's info is right on the screen here. You know, give him a call. Go by the website. Like I was saying in the chat, you know, Kevin helped me to find my truck, and it was a pleasure working with Kevin, and I really recommend him and his team. So check them out, and you can always get pre-approved through Copcoast as well. So you can get the
and last minute reminder, Josh, is that they also get a 0.50 discount on their auto loan rate up to 66 months, and over that they get a 0.25% discount on their auto loan rate if they use the service. So that's a pretty good amount of money if you're looking at buying a 4Runner and you want to finance for 66 months and you get approved at 299. If you go through us, you're going to get a 2.49 rate. So that alone will save you quite a bit of money in interest.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up then today. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate all the info and all the knowledge, the update. It's just, you know, it's a crazy world out there when it comes to cars right now. So good to get the lowdown. But thank you again to everyone for, God, I can't talk today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. And if you do have any more questions, please, when the survey pops up, you can indicate that you'd like to have a follow-up conversation. At the end of the survey, there's a question about that. So you can just notate that you would like to go ahead and talk to someone in follow-up, and we'll contact you. So take time to fill that out. We appreciate it. And I'll be contacting the winners of the raffle in the next couple days here. But in the meantime, stay dry out there. Let's stay warm. It's a cold, wet, rainy winter day. So drive safe. And we will see you next month for our next webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a great day.